What's going on, Warriors? Welcome back to another episode of the EU4 tutorial series, and we are still at war with Granada. I just want to say, guys, if you are enjoying the series and if it's helping you out, please feel free to leave a like, subscribe, and join the Discord server, and also, you know, Patreon and shit, if you know what I mean. These links are down in the description below. So, I explained sieges the last time. I might have to explain disasters in this one, because it looks like I'm going to have the Castilian Civil War. This is, how can I stop this? If I'm currently a disaster, if I'm the lesser part of the personal union, or if I'm not a monarchy. Well, that doesn't sound like any of those are going to happen. Okay, Army Organizer. This is the Army Organizer. This increases our force limit, and he's going to go away, which means our force limit is going to be decreased. How about no? I actually want this 31 force limit at the moment. I think I need it. Okay, and heavy ships take a long time to build, by the way. We were building more heavy ships so that we could take these guys on, take on their navy and all that. Also, they seem to have considerably less ships than before. Fewer ships. Gotta be grammatically correct there. We're now at 0%, which means that there is a 0% of surrender, but there's also 0% of status quo, meaning even if you roll a very short, or a very small number, except for 1, of course, if you roll a 2 or more, then, let me see, because its current siege status is 5, so, actually, no, because if you roll a 1, natural roll of 1, it's a disease outbreak, but we rolled a 4, which means we got a supply shortage, and now it's 7%. So now, if we roll a 14 right now, then we win the siege. 7% chance of that happening. About. You know, it's rounded. But there's a chance. What you're saying, there's a chance. Okay. Now that time we got Defender's Desert. That affected it by +2. Also, little known fact about sieges is that if you roll over this Siege of Granada, it says how long the siege has been going on for. Very little known fact. Another thing is you can find out exactly the day the war started if you left click on this war shield right here. No, I think it's right click. You right click on it and you go here, 19th of January 1451. Also, the Ottomans have taken Constantinople, and what is going on with them? Kandar, Karaman, and Ramazan. They're at war with all 3 of these guys. We just got 20 ducats for no reason from an event. Alright, cool. Alright, so let's see what happens on the next siege phase. And we won. The Sacker of Granada. Oh. I like this event. Free Army Professionalism. Now, Army Professionalism is another kind of modifier that you can get. But we won that siege. Now we need to battle. And we are going to be battling in the mountains. Probably. But let's see. First of all, I'm going to move my armies. I'm going to see if I can get Granada to move his troops into the fort. Because if he moves into the fort and I'm like relieving a siege on the fort, then I can, then I will be counted as the defender, but it doesn't look like that's going to happen. Alright, so we're just going to wait to siege this province. And by the way, the little things that you see on the bottom, you can see the person that you're at war with. The number there is the war score. It's now 25%. It scales from -100, which is totally losing, to +100, which is totally winning. Just total and complete victory. So we are winning this war, but we haven't destroyed his army yet, and we don't fully occupy him yet. We're going to be moving over here, and I'm going to be able to show you exactly how these battles work. And I don't know if I'll be able to go into like all of the detail of everything, but I will be able to basically give you a basic rundown of how things work. All right, so wow, good starting roll. Combat in EU4 is based upon dice rolls. If you're coming from Hearts of Iron 4, or maybe Crusader Kings 2, then you may be used to determined combat. Because in Hearts of Iron 4, combat is totally determined. It's not like flatly determined. It's not based on dice rolls. But in EU4, it is based on dice rolls. So here at the top, we can see the attacker. All right, and actually, I don't know if it's the attacker or... I think it is the attacker is up top. I don't know if it's like the players up top or the attackers up top, but I think it's the attacker. All right, then we can see that we rolled a 9. They rolled a 2, so we rolled much better. We get a +2 because our general has 2 fire, and their general has 0 fire. Actually, they have a horrible general, okay? So we're getting an extra 2 from our general's fire. And we have a -2 from terrain because we're fighting in mountains, effectively. It says Gibraltar, but that's because of the unique picture thing. Okay, so it's mountains. -2 for mountains, -2 if you're crossing a strait. Like, for example, if you go from Messina into Calabria, that's the red line. That's a strait. So if you're fighting across a strait, then the attacker takes a -2. If you actually attack across a strait into mountains like that, then it's -2 for both things. -2 from mountains and -2 for attacking across a strait. So it's very bad. Oh, cool. Constantinople gets a unique thing. Anyway. That's weird. A dice roll for attacker is -2. Not usually like that. It's usually, I think, plains or farmlands. But anyway, so, and then, like, highlands are, like, -1. Yeah, and then woods are -1, and plains are 0, grasslands and farmlands. I don't know where farmlands are. Where's some farmlands? Like, that's highlands. It's woods, grasslands. Is this farmland? Yeah, that's farmlands. It's farmlands, there's no modifier on that one. There's also marsh, which is -1. But that's not, it's not very common in the entire world. Like, there are not very many marshes there. There's Norfolk and Cambridge and Northumberland, but... Yeah, Northumberland. Terrain is Newcastle. Interesting. But yeah, so, you know, that's where the terrain thing is coming from. We can see discipline, this affects the casualties. Okay, so 100% means 100% casualties that you're able to inflict, all right? Discipline of the combat leader and should be seen as representative. Every unit still uses its own values during combat, okay? There's also morale, all right? Now, if a unit runs out of morale, it leaves the battle. It doesn't die, but it leaves the battle. In the beginning of the game, usually troops will run out of morale before they die. At the end of the game, you get such high discipline values and such high combat modifiers and everything that troops will often die before they run out of morale, and so you get these very, very big battles that end up losing a ton of troops, whereas early game it doesn't happen as much. Tactics is sort of a defensive version of discipline, okay? The military tactics of the combat leader. Okay, it's explained in the military window. You can see all the exact troop counts, okay? And then you can actually see this thing where it says the slashes are cavalry and they flank, all right? Infantry does not flank. Cavalry flanks, so they can hit the number right in front of them and then like 2 units across, okay? So like this infantry is not able to attack this cavalry, but this cavalry is able to attack this infantry, okay? Now, there are videos that Arumba has made where Arumba has explained why cavalry suck in this game, why they don't properly implement them, and why they don't shuffle around like they should, but I'm not going to explain that here. Basically, infantry are the basic thing, and they can attack just 3 spaces in front of them. And cavalry can flank, and then artillery attack from the back row, and they do half damage, but they actually attack from the back row, whereas infantry, you roll over this guy, and he's not attacking anybody, he's just sitting there. So artillery end up being extremely good, because they could be back here and attacking all of these guys here. So very, very good to have artillery once they come around and once they actually start to become effective. that is combat, basically. It's a couple of days of this. You go fire phase, and then shock phase is another roll, and they rolled horribly in the shock phase, which, here's a little tip from me to you. In the beginning of the game, the shock phase is incredibly valuable. At the end of the game, the shock phase is not so valuable, but the fire phase is incredibly valuable. And that is because cavalry are super useful in the shock phase, and also guns don't exist at the start of the game. And at the end of the game, you've got guns, and you've got artillery. And cavalry are not as effective later game. So, that's what happened. Now, we actually did so well. If you win in the first 2 phases of combat, the first fire shock, then you actually perform what we call a stack wipe, which is where you kill every last troop. They don't even get to retreat, okay? So there's a difference between a stack wipe and an insta-wipe. If you outnumber the enemy 10-1, that's an insta-wipe. You don't lose anything and they lose everything. Stack wipe is where you might still lose some troops here, but you wipe out everybody on the other side. The values that you're seeing here are prestige gains. So from this victory, I gained 2.5 prestige, and I gained 1.4 army tradition, which is another value we can talk about, and then 0.03 war exhaustion. He lost prestige. He gained a lot of army tradition, and this is representative of the fact that you learn a lot more from your defeats than you do from your victories. All right, and then they also gained a ton of war exhaustion. All right, so Tunis is still in this war, but I don't think we're gonna need to really take them down. Now this, by the way, this is the peace deal screen, and we can actually like click on these, and then it will tell us actually what we can do. Now Granada really doesn't want to be fully annexed. We could stop this, and we could just take these 2 provinces, but we want to take everything, right? We want to fully annex them, so we're gonna have to wait a little bit. Now here's a fun fact, and this is a really fun fact actually, because if you're in the war for 5 years, then it stops taking into account the secondary participants in the war, and it only takes into account the war leader, which is the person that you declare war on. So we fully occupy Granada. We do not occupy at all Tunis or Mazab. However, in 3 more years, if we were to just wait and stay at war for 3 more years, then at the end of that, it would just flip over and say, okay, this war was lasting too long. You have 100% war score because you have 100% war score directly with Granada. So that's the way that it could work. And also, you could separately peace out with these secondary participants, but they don't want to peace out because they're not really losing anything from this war, so they don't have any reason to. All right. So, I'm just going to stay at war because I don't want to try... Like, my navy is not really strong enough to try and take on everybody over there. So, we're just going to stay at war. I'm going to explain more about this, more about the province view. It's hurting my throat to talk about this so much. I'm going to explain more about the province view. So, let's take a kind of a normal-looking province, like grasslands. Here we go. So, as you can see, you've got the province, and you've got the state. Okay, Leon is in the state of Leon, which is these provinces here, and we'll get into that in a second. Navarra has insulted us. That's probably an event. Anyway, so here we can see that, what terrain it is. We can see that the name of the province is Leon. The city inside it is Leon. That's not really too relevant. You can actually edit these names here. It's in the state of Leon, and it's in the region of Iberia, okay? It's not actually called a state, it's called an area, okay? You can see an areas map mode here. Oh, this is actually the regions. This is the areas map mode, okay? And it actually should be... Oh, no, that's victory cards. Yeah, there you go. This is an areas map mode, and you can see the different areas here, and just like... They're just like small regions, but region is another defined term in this game, and regions are these. So Iberia, France, South Germany, Italy, North Germany, Low Countries, things like... Oh, gosh, okay. Alright, we got the Castilian Civil War. It's another thing I've got to explain in this video. Past century, okay, support Isabel. So we have to fight pretenders, bring us closer to Portugal or closer to Aragon. Oh. 544. She's a 465. That's a total of 15. 544 is only 13. I want to be closer to Portugal. Lose 20 legitimacy. That becomes the heir. I gotta support Isabel. It's a female ruler, but I mean, usually female. Oh, this is okay. What do I do here? I think I'm gonna go with this. We're gonna lose 20 legitimacy. We gotta fight the rebels. I think we can fight the rebels. Alright, now, how can we end this? We gotta get stability 1, we gotta lose the rebels, and also not have any pretender rebels. Okay, so we gotta increase stability. This is gonna, like, set us back administratively. We just increase it all the way to 1 right now, which is cool. And then we've got to send these troops over here. So black is when rebels actually control it. So we won the battle with the rebels, but pretender rebels are kind of strange where they don't just disappear if you win a battle with them. With any other kind of rebels, if you win a battle, they all disappear. But oh geez, Aragonese involvement. Jaén. What kind of territory is this? Why can't I think you have to wait like a day. Drylands. Okay, there's no dice roll penalty, but anyway, they appear. We're the defenders. And so this is a battle where we're the defender against rebels. Okay, we're rolling, right? Our general is better in the shock phase, which is more valuable, but it's worse in the fire phase, which is less valuable. So in the fire phase, you know, we might lose a little bit, but anyway, okay, cool. So we got that. We're fighting this stack of rebels. We're going to follow them. See, they're retreating, but they're going only 1 province away. Then we follow them, we fight them again, and the next time, they die. Okay? Alright, we want to fight these guys here. This is a 9 stack. Hold on, let's shift consolidate. We got to make these regiments full strength. Yeah, there we... Oh, I'm crossing a river. Yeah, river crossing is also -1. I forgot to mention that in the video where I talked about terrain. Which was that like last episode, I think? Anyway. Oh, and also that's a fort. Oh, the rebels control a fort. That's annoying. Means you gotta like go through an actual proper siege. If there is no fort in a province, then it just falls within 1 month. And actually, I think... Okay, this is gonna naturally fall to them because I control this fort, and there's actually a thing called zone of control. And I believe I have this here. Yeah. And so these provinces are under my zone of control of this fort. And so if there is an occupied province, but they don't control the fort, and they just get out of this province, then it will naturally come back to me. And I don't have to siege it back, like, from them. Also, Tunis came here. And I want to wait for them to start to siege the mountain fort, because if I can do that, then I can be the defender in the mountains. I don't want to attack them in the mountains. See, I want to avoid that, because I don't want to take the -2 penalty, right? Let's see. We're going to see where they go, if they go anywhere. Oh, they're moving into Drylands, actually, and that is fine with me, because I can fight them. See, they're at... Oh, they're military tech 4, just like we are. Well, that sucks. What is Granada? Granada's still at 3, but... Well, let's see how this turns out, I guess. Now I could get a general from my nobility, but I don't think I should. I think I should just fight him. We're not crossing a river into this province. Oh, I'm not actually moving fast enough. That's kind of interesting. They're going to Sevilla. Why are they going to Sevilla? Are they going to try to occupy Sevilla? Where are they going? Oh, I think they're going to go to Gibraltar. Okay, that's fine. I'll let my troops reinforce. I'll let my my divisions, not divisions, regiments, my armies reinforce. Okay, he's locked in. I can move over here. I'm kind of trying to outmaneuver him, and I'm failing at this because he's sending more and more troops. But I'll let my guys reinforce. I also need to go into here to stop Granada from building any more armies. Because if Granada controls these provinces... Oh, cool. If Granada controls these provinces, then they can actually still build armies. You can see this guy, this little guy with a blacksmith. Okay, I'm going to get the next diplomatic tech. Cool. Excellent. Oh, I don't want to, I don't want to attack them in the mountains. Okay. Okay, so I wanted to explore more of the province view. So anyway, we've got the development, as I explained before. There's province history. You can actually see this. I don't really use this, but it's kind of like interesting sometimes. And then you can also see all the provinces with which it actually crosses a river into. So if you attack like from this province to another province, then it will cross a river. And we can see this in the simple terrain map mode. These blue lines between provinces indicate river crossings. So the simple terrain map mode is actually a very, very useful one. You can see like La Mancha. That's river crossing between that and every other province around it. Which means if you're in La Mancha, then that's a good place to be the defender. So you can actually use that in your decision making of where to place forts. Alright. Now see, I've actually breached the walls here, it looks like. Why is it not displaying this? It should display it, because the walls breached. That says walls breached. I have to go over it again. Do I have to wait for the next siege phase? Let's see. Oh, I just won the siege. Alright. Oh, so I finished. Okay, the end of the Castilian Civil War. So I gain a free stability, and Portugal likes us. Cool. Sometimes what people do is they will boost stability, and then they will take the free stability, because boosting from 2 to 3 costs 194, but boosting from 1 to 2 would only cost like 144, right? So you just pay 144 and you end up getting 2 stability, which is pretty useful. Okay, so we're gonna have to attack them in the mountains. There's pretty much no way around this. They still don't want to be fully annexed. And you can see exactly why they would accept and why they will not accept. So you can see that, okay, our war score is 35, and then, you know, occupied and besieged provinces, so we occupy most of their country. That's contributing. They've got a lot of war exhaustion. Their alliance is not very strong in comparison to mine. I'm making gains in the war, but, you know, would result in their annexation or vassalization. They really don't want that. That's negative 58. Current peace offer is 42 because of the development of the provinces and, you know, all of that stuff. Different modifiers like that. Length of war is just a modifier that kind of keeps wars from being pieced out like super fast. And then demands exceed war score. See, the demand is 42 war score, but my war score, the demand is 42 as a peace offer value. My war score is only 35. So because of that, it's a -7 to their willingness to accept the offer. And then Granada military strength is -1 because apparently they see that they have armies. Yeah, their 2,000 strong army is saying, hey, no, we don't want to accept that peace offer. That's kind of dumb on their part, but also we're losing money. Let's talk more about the province view. Actually, you know what? No. Because what's our combat width? Our combat width is 20, which means that actually if we take off like 5 of these infantry, and then let's put the good general on him too. Let's take the general off of this guy. No leader. Just to make sure that they're in charge. How much would that take? 4th of November. We want to make sure that these guys arrive on the same time. So 8 days. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Just gotta make sure. 10th of November. 7, 8. Okay, 12th of November. Both of these guys are gonna arrive at the same time. Now what I'm doing here is I'm looking at our combat width, which is 20. See, this is 20. Okay? It's 20 wide. I have 20,000 troops in this battle, so they're going to fill up as much of this front line as they possibly can, and we're going to actually try and flank his armies here. Okay? Which is actually, I don't know how much that's really helping, but I don't know. Anyway, but yeah, you want to try to do that. We are crossing a river into mountains, so it's a -3, but we do have a good general. We're rolling horribly. And the -3 gives us a 4 against 2. Let's see, shock. Oh, that was horrible! That was a horrible roll! Now, I could just throw more troops at this battle. I don't think I want to. We rolled a 9, so that's going to be a 6 against a 2, but it's fire. Now okay. 9 against 0 in the shock phase. Very, very powerful. In the shock, we both got 4 shock, which means that's why it doesn't show the general value. Okay. We got a 3 against 5 in the fire phase, but it's only the fire phase, so it's not as important. Shock. 4 against 1. Okay, it looks like we're going to win this battle. Shock. It's bad. Alright, we did win, but we lost a lot of troops. I mean, that was a very Pyrrhic victory there. Alright, so I'm going to move over here. See, do you see this? Like, this was a 15. Now it's only a 10. This was a 5, and this was only, and now it's only a 2,000. So we're going to march this guy back over there, and then we're going to chase him down. Alright? Oh, no, actually, we can just go directly in there. Chase him down. This army is mostly full strength. Whereas his army still has low morale, very low morale actually, and depleted numbers. Now see this? Look. See this? Alright. So, we're not getting the -2 penalty because this is not mountains. Alright, this is actually a different terrain type. It might be coastline or something like that. He's also got no general, by the way. I don't know what he did with his general, but it's not there. And then he's got lower morale. Oh, I have higher morale in my traditions. We'll talk about ideas later. I ended up stack wiping him because I was able to win the battle so fast because he was at depleted numbers, depleted morale. He just didn't stand a chance. Alright, now once again I control all of Granada. And now they're very close to actually accepting this offer. They're at actually -2 reasons, which is very close. Maybe in a couple of months they would be willing to accept. Even though I don't have a 100% war score, you know, if you have a 100% war score, they will accept any peace deal that you give them up to a value of 100. They will not accept a value over 100, but they will accept anything up to that. Anything. If you have 99% war score, they might not accept something if they think they're making a lot of gains and stuff like that. But if you have a 100% war score, they will accept anything. The AI is forced to accept something. And then, by the same token, if you have negative 100 war score, then it will actually force you to accept anything the AI sends you as a peace deal up to and including 100% peace offer value. Okay, this is now at 0 reasons. Okay, so probably one more month. Oh, actually, different things are changing. I think it's because they're blockading my provinces and stuff like that, but can I actually get Tunis out of the war? No. Nope. Nobody else wants out of the war. That's fine. Over time, they will accept Spanish dominance. And as you can see, we're actually losing a lot of money right now. And the reason for that, it says reinforcement minus 1.85. That's because it costs a lot of money to reinforce your armies. And we have a big army, and we took a lot of casualties, and we need to reinforce 2,160 men still. And only 450 will reach our armies this month. Might change once we go into our own territory. Watch this. Let's see here. Maximum of 5% attrition. Okay, the local reinforce rate is 50% in this province, and we get a bonus of plus 0% from nation's values. So in foreign territory, your armies reinforce at half the rate. If you go into your own province, it will reinforce at 861. Now, that's not exactly... The reason why it's not 900 is that it's dependent upon a certain value per regiment. So it would be a maximum of 900, but we don't actually need to need it to reinforce at a maximum of 900 because we don't have enough understrength regiments to justify reinforcing at 900 per month. They're at 0 reasons again. Very close. Aragon, under the pleasantries exchanged, cool. See, right now Aragon has actually rivaled us, but we actually... there is actually a chance of the Iberian Union, the Iberian Wedding, I think. Yeah, the Iberian Wedding happening, and that's where we actually make them a personal union partner. Will they accept? Oh, -1. It'll happen, guys, don't worry. Now, as we are reinforcing and more regiments get to full strength, now we're actually paying less and less money for reinforcement. Now, there's some other buttons here, and I feel like I maybe should go over them right now. No, actually not right now. I'll go over them in the next episode if I can remember. But I'll go over the province view. We'll finish up the province view. We'll make a peace deal. Boom. And now they actually will accept so much, but they will not accept money. I can't demand any money from them. I'll just fully annex them. And yeah, we'll take these provinces, send demand, and now those provinces are mine. All right? So now, we will talk about cores and conversion of religion and all of that stuff. There's Alentejo, Aragon, Catalonia. Let me see this. Recover Portugal? Oh. That actually doesn't lead to anything. Also claims that Aragon doesn't... That actually might happen. Convert Iberia is where you convert them to Christianity. Okay, so we actually get claims on all of Portugal. We could actually go to war with Portugal, but we're not going to. Alright, so this is like the religious conversion. Anyway, I'm just going to quickly explain this. So we talked about development and all that. We talked about terrain. We can see exactly how much money this makes us. Okay? It's making us... This province of Leon is making us 0.5 ducats a month. Okay, and that's from tax and production only. Trade is a different animal. Okay, so we're not there yet. We can see the unrest, and we can see that it's negative 0.6, which means that there's no chance of a revolt here, but it's kind of close to 0. If it gets above 0, then there'll be a small chance of a revolt growing. And we can see that on the right side of the screen. We can see rebel factions, Socinian. Oh, it's heretics. Okay, I was like nationalists. What's that? Anyway, we can see the province autonomy. Now, this is 25 because when it's controlled by an estate, the minimum province autonomy is 25%. I think the nomads, like nomadic tribes, they have a minimum province autonomy of 50%, but that's different. I mean, that's different estate. All right, so basically, it's just going to modify everything by minus 25%, and trade power it lowers by 12.5%. Half of the autonomy, okay? We can increase it. If we increase it, then for 30 years, it has minus 10 unrest. So when you first conquer provinces, see, this is a lot, all right? A lot of unrest. If we increase autonomy here, then it will be reduced to 10.1, which is still a lot, and probably still a rebellion is going to happen, but at least it'll happen slower, and sometimes you can get the value below 0. Okay? Next, we've got the cores and claims. So I've got a core here. Core means it's part of my direct administration. I've got a bureaucracy set up there and everything like that. Leon has a core there. Okay, that's an army. The flag is in black and white because they don't exist right now. Okay, but they could through nationalists. If you have Leonese nationalists, then rebels could pop up, and if you accept their demands or if they enforce their demands because you can't fight them, then the nation of Leon could pop up and they would get this province. Next, we got Aragon has a permanent claim. The reason, I don't know why it's a permanent claim. They probably have all these permanent claims on me. But what this means is that they can use it as a reason to declare war. And actually, if you have a permanent claim on something, it's minus 25% cost to make it into a core, which is used with admin power. So, like for this province, I need to spend administrative power to make it into a core. It says coring cost is modified by have claim minus 25%. If it's a normal claim, if it's a temporary claim, it lasts for 25 years and it only reduces the cost to core by 10%. But it's a permanent claim, it never expires, and it reduces it by 25%. Okay, so remember that. Next, you've got culture. And if it's an accepted culture, then you're totally fine. You get no penalties at all. But if you look at this, oh, this is Andalusian. What's a culture I don't accept? Galician. Okay, this is... Yellow means it's in the same culture group, and red means it's in a different culture group. All right, green means it's either your primary culture or it's accepted. If it's in your same culture group, you're going to get some small penalties. If it's not in your culture group, which we can see if we look here, if Castile controlled this province, it's Gascon culture, which is in the French culture group, and we would gain really bad modifiers. Okay, this is very, very bad to have provinces that are not controlled by your culture. You can convert culture, or you can accept the culture, or you could just kind of like deal with the penalties. You know, and you could do that, but over time, the goal is to kind of accept more cultures or to convert them. You can change the culture using diplomatic power. Okay, so like I can change the Galician culture to Castilian for 89 diplomatic power, because that's my primary culture, or you can change it to a bordering culture, which is Leonese, for reduced cost 25% because it's adjacent. You can spread out different cultures like that. Then next is religion, and based on your religion, if it's your primary religion, then it gets reduced unrest based on your tolerance of the true faith. Okay, so tolerance is affected by various things. And, you know, we can see the base value of the true faith. You know, Catholic adds a +1. Our legitimacy affects it, and we have another modifier that's increasing it by 1. That means that in all of our Catholic provinces, it's going to reduce the unrest by 5.2. Very good. However, heathens is negative 2.8, which means it says Sunni. Okay, local unrest is actually 3.52. I don't know why that. Intolerance. I don't know why it's increasing it by more. I'll have to look into that. But, could it be like... I don't know. Anyway, it's a base of -3, and this is of tolerance of heretics. So it'll be Orthodox, Coptic, and later Protestant, Reformed, Anglican. Okay? So those are heretics. Catholics are actually unique in that they tolerate heretics less than they tolerate heathens. Heathens are all religions and other religion groups. So for Sunnis, you know, they would have Shiites and Ibadis, and those would be heretics. For Buddhists, they would have Theravada, Vajrayana, Mahayana, and Confucian is also in the same group, and as is Shinto. And those are considered heretics, so they're slightly higher tolerance, but not still, it's negative, so you're still going to have unrest. Yes, as I was saying, there's the religion factor. Then you can see if armies or ships are in queue, so if you click here, you can recruit a regiment directly from the province. Usually we don't do that. Usually, you know, I click on this army and I just click this plus button here, but you can do it in the province view. Next, we have the Holy Roman Empire. We cannot add this province to the Holy Roman Empire. yeah, we have to have like really good relations with the emperor and stuff. We haven't even talked about the Holy Roman Empire. We'll get into that later. You can return provinces to certain countries. So let's see. This province, for example, if it's not controlled by an estate, you can just click on this and you lose 10 prestige, but then you would actually return it to Leon, and it would just set the country free in that province. Okay, and then also this is client states, special customized vassals, where you could just make your own country and they're your vassal. So that's kind of cool. Then you've got province modifiers over here. So this is an emporium. It's kind of like a local center of trade. Generally, merchants go there to do local trade. So that's trade power plus 5. Then you've got support for the government. That's a thing that we got in an event early in the game. There's another event thing. It's local unrest plus 5. Merchant republics, trading cities, trade companies, they increase goods produced by 3%. It's a very minor modifier, but it's there. Modifiers in the things, in the province. We've got the buildings, all right? We'll get more into buildings later, but you can see the buildings in this province. You can also spend some money to upgrade this from an emporium to, what is it called? I can't remember, what is it? Like a market town, I think it's called. Yeah, you can upgrade it to a market town for 200 ducats. I don't have the money right now, but you could, and it would increase the trade power more. And then later you can upgrade it to a World Trade Center. Different names if it's coastal. You can see that the nobility controls it. Current stats of that estate. And you've got 4 building slots here. Construction cost, construction time, how quickly buildings are constructed. And you can see that it's increasing our construction cost by 0.5% because of our inflation. Inflation is because of gold, which we'll get into later. And then you can see that this province gives us 1.2 land force limit. And you can see this because the total development is 12. You can see land force limit plus 1.2. So it's 0.1 per development. And I think it's also modified by local autonomy, but the nobility negates that local autonomy modifier. So you still get full force limit and manpower from nobility, even though the autonomy is high. Okay, so yeah, okay, so there's that, and then you've got the military. You can see the total amount of manpower there. You've got the supply limit. This is how many troops a province can hold before you start taking attrition, which we'll get into in a future thing. Sailors that it produces, of course, it's not coastal, so it doesn't produce any sailors. This is the war score cost, so it costs. So if you try to take this province in a war, it's going to be 13 as a peace offer value, and it's double if you're not a co-belligerent. So, like for example, we took, like if we wanted to take Tunis, that's 23% war score. But if we try to take it when they're not a co-belligerent, it's actually going to cost 46% war score, double the cost because they're not a co-belligerent. We've got fort defense and fort level, which I already talked about. This is where you can actually set objectives for your subjects, maybe allies as well. I can't remember exactly, but I know you can set it as objectives for your subjects, but you might also be able to set them for your allies. And it helps you kind of like direct your allies when they're AI. Just tell them kind of, go here. I really want you to go over here and help me out here. And I think you can only do it in enemy provinces, not your own provinces. So you can't, like, if an enemy is occupying your province, then you can't tell the AI, come over here and help me siege back my own provinces. They will do that naturally, or you can do that on your own. Then there's a garrison, which is the amount of troops defending a province, and it only appears in provinces with a fort. So, and it is 1,000 times the fort level. And yeah, so that's basically the thing. You can, during a siege, you can actually sortie, where you send the garrison out to attack. Garrison is really only useful if they're trying to assault or during a sortie. So if there's 1,000 troops trying to siege Toledo and I've got a garrison of 3,000, I can sortie, and that just creates like this 3,000 strong army that will fight them. They'll kill them probably in a 1,000 man army, and then they'll go back into the garrison depleted a little bit, but, you know, it'll get rid of the army. And then this is also opening a siege view if it's under siege. It's not currently under siege, so you can't click it. But and then you've got the trade power that the province provides you, which in this case is 7.7. You can see what the base is, and then basically from your trade power efficiency, your mercantilism, as I mentioned before, and it's also modified by local autonomy. You've got the trade value, which is the value of the good produced, multiplied by the actual goods produced. So it's slightly below 2 because we've got 2 is the value of livestock, which is not very high, but then we're producing almost 1. The reason why it's slightly lower is that we have war exhaustion. Okay? And war exhaustion is modifying it, so as you produce more, it puts more money into the trade power, and as you have, more money into the trade node, and the more percentage that you control of the trade node, that's how much money you can get. And we see that this is like trade node values. So we see that we control 73% of the ducats in our home trade node, which is Sevilla. And then we can actually click on this and it goes to the trade node window, which we'll get into later. And then there's a button, if you're a merchant republic, you can actually create a trade post, which I believe is like it's like an extra 5 trade power. No, it's an extra 10. So Venice actually created it in Crete. And that's, so they get an extra 10 trade power there. Only merchant republics can do that. I don't like playing as merchant republics, but discussion for another day. Anyways, guys, so that is basically the province view. I guess in the next episode, we're probably going to explain more about like inflation and the economy view buttons, and then we might go into the state view, and we might explain like state edicts and stuff like that. But anyways, I want to thank everyone so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like, subscribe, join the Discord server, Patreon and chill, if you know what I mean. Anyway, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you guys next time.